Hey guys, so in the last video we dealt with reading and writing to files, um, working with a file directly, with file get contents, file put contents, file, read file, etc. Um, in this video we're going to specifically concentrate on file resources that were actually used before these functions were brought along in, I believe, PHP 5. Um, so the functions we're going to cover are opening a file resource, okay, and then which is essentially opening the file, and then writing to that or resource and reading from that resource as well. Um, the resource type we're going to be dealing with is a stream. So that's the type of resource that we're actually writing and reading to. Um, Parts of the data stream, we're not going to go completely into this, but we're going to look at the wrapper, just at the file wrapper, which is shown here. There's pipelines, context. I'm going to point you to an article if you want to look further into streams also that actually deal with context, and then we're going to look also at the stream deals with a file's data. So essentially how we reference a stream is we have a wrapper and we have a target. So this is actually file is actually the default wrapper, so this does not need to be specified within this variable. And the target / users Anthony B file.txt. So even if we don't specify this, this will still, that's the actual default. Okay, so we can use either or, but you don't need to use that if you're specifying a file. And just to show you guys further, if you go to your browser and type in the file wrapper, it'll bring you to your, if you're in Mac or if you're in, on a PC in any browser on any operating system, it should be able to hit the root. And then where my file is located is I have it in file.txt. So again, that's where we can find it, but it can also be specified as users Anthony B file.txt. Okay, so as we did in the last video, we're going to do a quick check to ensure that the file does exist. If it doesn't, it's just going to print a quick message and return. I'm not going to go through that again because I went through in the last video. And okay, so first we have to define a resource using fopen. So we're going to pass it the file we specified, and second, we're dealing with an actual mode. So the modes we have are specified on this page. Look at fopen. We have read, write, append, all of these modes. We're only going to be looking at read, write, and append in this video. Please go to this page to play around with these and understand them further. So first we're going to understand that that this resource is actually a stream. So you can use the get resource type to ensure that it's a resource. So pass false if it's not a resource. And we're going to pass it the resource that we've just created. Okay, so this should output just stream. Okay, so we know we're dealing with a stream. So currently in this file we have nothing. Let's write to that file. So now we can do an fwrite. As you guys will notice, I'm not sure if I already mentioned this, but all functions that just start with f deal with a file resource. Anything starting with file deals with just a file. So fwrite would write to our resource that we've defined already, which is our handle, and fwrite also takes a string, which we'll put hello, okay, and then we're close the resource. So this enables us to actually, hold on, guys. Sorry about that. Yeah, so we're writing hello to this. Oops. So we should see nothing, and now in file.text we should see hello. Okay. So now if we do that again, what happens here? I don't know why that's. Oh, sorry. Write to it first. Now we have you. Okay. So if we want to add on to the file, as we saw in the last video, we had flags. This we can use the append, so it doesn't actually overwrite it. So now we'll get yo man with no space. Okay. And then if we just want to read, we'll pass a variable, put what's read in a contents variable, and fread, you need to specify a length, so that's in bytes, so you can do, you know, whatever. If you have any limitations, you can do that. Common best practice though is to follow file size, which actually gives you the full file, and so it's going to read everything within that file. Okay, so again, we're passing a resource and reading the whole file, and then we'll read it after we close the file, just to show you that the variable stores it. Okay, so we can read that. In terms of the differences in using a file resource as opposed to a file, you know, there's not a very big difference. There's a couple of articles that specify benchmarks and say it's only like 7.3% faster to actually use a file resource as opposed to these functions that were incorporated at a later date. So unless you really need that 7.3%, doesn't really matter too much to your application. But then again, who knows? So yeah. Also, I'm going to attach a couple of articles on streams as well. This is a really good one that gets into context and more handles you can use. You get into standard input, the PHP standard input and output, standard error. This is a really good one. I'll attach that. And yeah, that's it for this one, guys.